People across the region, state, and country take time to honor those who proudly served our country this past Memorial Day weekend. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, it was a rainy holiday weekend, but that didn't stop people from visiting area cemeteries to honor our veterans who have passed away this Memorial Day. On Saturday, volunteers placed flags on graves at Scottsbluff's Fairview and Sunset Memorial cemeteries, and by Monday afternoon, the rain had let up to allow a window for people to pay their graveside respects. At the West Nebraska Veterans Home in Scottsbluff, there was a Memorial Day ceremony Monday at 1:30 p.m. VFW Post 1681 Post Commander Chuck Evelo served as the Master of Ceremonies, while Pastor Ed Hunziker provided the opening and closing prayers. This year's keynote speakers were Gold Star parents Chris and Robert Wolf, the parents of 21-year-old U.S. Army Specialist James Wolf, who died while serving in Iraq in 2003. They told the crowd they didn't want the day to be filled with sadness, so instead shared some of the more funny stories about Jamie, including the time he snuck out of the house and couldn't get back in.
So he tried to crawl in through his basement bedroom window, and he got stuck. So we heard noise, it was right underneath our bedroom, and we heard the noise, and so Bob went down there. I'm going to tell him about what he did.
So I go down and I asked him, I said, so what part of this did you think was a good plan? I don't know. I had to end up pulling him back out through the window so he could come back in the house.
Afterwards, Evelo read the names of all the veterans from our area who had passed away since last Memorial Day, and the ceremony concluded with a presentation from the Honor Guard and a performance of taps. And court proceedings are set to resume for the Alliance man who eluded authorities for a full month after he was inadvertently released from the Scottsbluff County Detention Center in late March. 52-year-old Harley Salway was arrested in December following a violent sexual assault and faces charges of first-degree sexual assault, use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony, and first-degree false imprisonment. Salway was taken back into custody last Sunday after it was discovered that an Alliance woman was harboring him as a fugitive. Court records show that Salway is set to be back in court tomorrow as the state prepares to set a trial date on a trio of felonies. We'll have more news right after this.
Whether you're gardening, searching for the perfect vacation home, or planning your next travel destination, your life is just as unique. Your Raymond James financial advisors, Jody Rosiska and Kevin Figg, get to know you, your passions, and your vision for the future, so you can live your life. That's life well planned.
Welcome back. A 70-year-old Scottsbluff woman has died, and another remains hospitalized after a house fire Sunday morning at 405 West Overland. Police arrived around 8:20 a.m. to find flames and 3 people near the back of the home. 2 had visible injuries and were taken to Regional West Medical Center, where 70-year-old Sandra Hagan later died. The fire was quickly extinguished by Scottsbluff Fire Department, and was determined to be caused by accidental ignition of a medical oxygen supply. Damage to the home is estimated at $30,000, and the 400 block of West Overland was closed for about 90 minutes during the response and investigation. Well, 2 Scottsbluff teens were arrested Saturday night after crashing a Chrysler 300 into a utility pole near East 7th Street and 11th Avenue. Police say alcohol was involved, and the 19-year-old driver, Alvaro Pacheco, was charged with DUI and minor in possession. Passenger 18-year-old Jocelyn Campos was arrested for minor in possession and false reporting. Both were taken to the hospital and then jailed. The car damaged the car, utility pole, and a fence, causing a brief power outage and closing the road for over an hour.
Life is crazy. Pain is stressful. How can anybody concentrate with these busy schedules? Now you can. This is Ben Moravec coming to you from Hydrozen, a float therapy business right here in Scottsbluff. I'm here today to let you know we now have memberships for $49 monthly. You can guarantee yourself at least 1 float per month. You know how floating keeps your muscles relaxed, your joints relieved, and your brain clear to think? Now you can float at a reduced rate each month. Inquire today at hydrozenfloat.com or call us at 308-63-FLOAT. Hydrozen. Unplug and recharge.
I imagined retirement in a place where we could enjoy our golden years, where adventure and friendship are the only items on the schedule. The Garden Homes at Northfield gives us the luxury we planned for and peace of mind when it comes to convenience, safety, and comfort. We never have to stop and think about the day-to-day upkeep. We love to explore abroad, but most importantly in our backyard. So much to do, so much to see. Here at Northfield, we get the protection of life care, incredible tax benefits, and secured rates for aging services. It's peaceful, knowing that if our needs change, we'll be taken care of. And most importantly, that our kids will never have to make any tough decisions. There never seemed to be enough time to do all the things we wanted. Now we get to focus our energy on enjoying what this community has to offer. At the Garden Homes, life is ours again. A place we had dreamed about. A chance to focus on us.
The Rural Radio Network. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and the Nebraska Cancer Coalition is working to educate Nebraskans on the importance of skin cancer prevention. We're joined today by Dr. Joshua Mauman, NC2 board member and physician, and chief of Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center, who is a surgical oncologist that focuses on skin cancer, specifically melanoma. So melanoma of the skin is the most dangerous skin cancer and is the 5th most common cancer in Nebraska. So, Dr. Mauman, what are some of the risk factors that put people at a higher risk for developing skin cancer?
Thank you, Ellen, for having me on the show and helping to spread awareness of this issue. As you mentioned, melanoma is the 5th most common cancer of those cancers that are recorded in databases. But actually, believe it or not, skin cancer is by far the most common cancer, period, more than all the other cancers combined. If you really focus on, include the skin cancers that are squamous cell cancers and basal cell cancers as well. So it's actually quite a major problem. And I think all of us know individuals who've had skin cancer in the past. They often are treated, thankfully, with smaller procedures like salves, or sometimes by burning them off, or sometimes by local excisions. But melanoma, as you mentioned, is a more serious condition, and certainly something that often requires more serious interventions and extensive interventions to treat it. There are certainly risk factors for developing skin cancers, and some of these are risk factors that we can control, and some of them are risk factors that we can't control. The ones that we can't control are our complexion. We certainly know that individuals with fairer skin, of lighter complexion, are at a higher risk of developing skin cancers, including developing melanoma. There certainly are the risks of for individuals who have a lot of moles. Those individuals tend to be at a higher risk of developing skin cancers as well. And a family history of having had melanoma increases the risk of developing melanoma for oneself as well. Those are obviously non-modifiable risk factors. There's nothing much you can do about that. But there are things that you can do to reduce your risk of developing melanoma and other skin cancers. We know that skin cancers, by and large, develop from ultraviolet light, and so avoiding or minimizing ultraviolet light is as part of the strategy for reducing your risk of developing skin cancer. Now, what I tell folks is they have to live their lives. You can't avoid all ultraviolet light, but you want to be careful in how you are exposed to ultraviolet light and do the things that you can do. We certainly want you to be able to enjoy yourself, and especially now that the weather is a little bit nicer, to be able to go out and do these activities that we all enjoy doing outside. But there are some common sense tips that we can do and implement to help reduce the risk of developing skin cancer. One is avoiding the sun when it's at its most intense. It's really somewhere around, 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock is where there's the most intense sunlight. Perhaps you take a break. Often in the middle of the summer, it's pretty hot out there at that time anyway. So maybe that is a good time to maybe take a break for the activity that you're planning. Other tips are covering up as much as you can. A hat protects the ears. Ears are often a place where individuals get burned because you often forget to put sunblock in that location. So hats that cover the ears in particular, not just a baseball cap, but maybe a little bit larger hat would be helpful. And then, as I alluded to, sunblock. And there's a lot of discussion about sunblock and the ingredients in sunblock that I've heard about. But there are a lot of sunblocks that are made from ingredients that are certainly safe, avoiding the benzene-containing sunblocks, perhaps. So there's a lot of sunblocks that are out there that are actually quite safe and can be used. If you don't like sunblock, another option is there is a lot of lightweight clothing that you can use that has ultraviolet coating on it that also can be used instead of sunblock. What I would say is that if you do use sunblock and you're sweating or you get into the pool or into the lake, certainly you want to reapply. They are somewhat waterproof, but not 100%. So reapplying is really important as well.
All right. Well, let's talk about why early detection of skin cancer is so important, and what are your recommendations for screening?
Yeah, so interestingly, there is no standard recommendation for screening, unlike for breast cancer, where we know that there are standard guidelines for getting a mammogram, or for colon cancer, or getting a colonoscopy, or getting a stool-based test. There isn't a standard guideline that we have for skin cancer screening. But what I would say is that if you have a lot of moles, and certainly if you notice spots that are changing or are starting to look a little unusual, I think it's really quite important to see a dermatologist as quickly as you can to be evaluated. I would say this is more akin to not screening, but skin awareness. So being aware of your skin and aware of what's going on your body, I think is really the key here. Is if you notice something is starting to look different or starting to change or is unusual, certainly I think that's an opportunity to bring it to the attention of your primary care physician and ultimately of a dermatologist to be evaluated.
And that was kind of my next question, where a lot of people, when they think of a dermatologist, they're thinking, oh, wow, I won't be able to get into them for another 6 weeks, So where your primary care provider, would that be the best option going forward?
Yes, absolutely. I think our primary care colleagues are the front lines, really. They have a relationship with you already. And I think having them evaluate that area first is a great first step. Often they'll need a dermatologist to also be involved, but I certainly think that seeing a primary care physician as a first step makes a lot of sense. And they may have noticed that spot in the past and be able to say, oh yeah, I noticed it, and it looks the same as it did last time, or I'm not worried about it. So they can often provide that reassurance as well.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I think, again, awareness is really the key here. I also mentioned earlier that though there is no standard guideline, if you have family members who have had skin cancers, particularly if they've had melanoma, I think it's probably a good idea to go to a dermatologist to at least have a one-time check to have your skin evaluated, because there's certainly individuals who have family histories of melanoma have a dramatically higher risk of melanoma themselves. So that would be, I would say, kind of the maybe not in the guidelines, but probably a good idea to at least get that one-time check.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you want to find more information out, you can go to anycancer.org/skin cancer. Thank you so much, Dr. Mauman, for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ellen.
All right. That is Dr. Joshua Mauman, NC2 board member and physician and chief of Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and the Nebraska Cancer Coalition is working to educate Nebraskans on the importance of skin cancer prevention. I'm Ellen Simmons for the Rural Radio Network.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
Let's take a look at your community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
The summer heat will be here soon, but our hot summer savings sale is on now. Get $1,200 off every door and $800 off every window. Plus enjoy no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Get an extra 5% off your entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Hurry, this exclusive offer won't last long. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your windows and doors, so grab these hot savings while you can. Call today or visit rbawyoming.com to book your free estimate.
Better sleep and better health can be found at Western Sleep Medicine in Gering. Since 2006, Western Sleep Medicine has offered the lowest cost sleep testing either in their independent sleep laboratory or the privacy of your own home. You have control over your health care and your out-of-pocket cost. All insurance is accepted for a much lower cost than the regional option. If you need a sleep study, ask for Western Sleep Medicine. They've helped thousands of people over the years and want to help you. Western Sleep Medicine. Better sleep, better health.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether it is building, buying, or renovating, we have the home loan or home equity line of credit to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally, tonight in Nebraska, about 12% of kids face food insecurity, which is above the national average of 11%. To help combat the problem this summer, Gering Public Schools is starting a new program, according to Superintendent Dr. Nicole Regan.
We know in the summer our students are home more, which makes more of a burden on the finances at home when it comes to food. So we want to help that out. We know that nutritious meals are really important for learning and for brain development, learning development, and we want to continue that.
She says the program will not only help kids stay healthy over the summer, but since they're at home, it will also help their parents by relieving them of extra food expenses. Scottsbluff schools are starting their summer meal program today with free lunches for those 18 and younger at the high school, middle school, and Roosevelt and Lincoln Heights elementary schools. Well, that is it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you here next time.